I had that dream again. I was the only one there, so when it plays back in my head, it may as well have been. Who is there to tell? Who is there left from that time to talk about that isn't laced with chest pains and malice and whatever the opposite of nostalgia is?
Tempot, stop. We don't have a lot of time. We just came from the bathroom.
Ew, you touched my face.
Thinking about it now, it's strange that Bee and PuppyCat holds such a stranglehold over what my brain thinks is a core memory. In the dream, it's still 2016 and the sky isn't awake yet. This happens a lot anymore. Thematic anxiety pumps into my head and keeps me on guard until I'm promised I'm safe. Hopefully, I believe it this time. I don't. I really don't. So I binged through Verve instead. Now this was back when Verve was alive. It was supposed to be more than just the anime. Boomerang, Mondo, Nickelodeon for a short while. But most of it, if anyone could remember, was just stuff you watched on YouTube instead. One of those random things I found was Bee and PuppyCat. And before its Netflix show and devoted fanbase of my cousin on a good day, back in 2017, there was only enough Bee and PuppyCat to fill 10 short episodes. We'd have to wait a whole generation of kids later to get anything else from this property.
Which one's more impressive? President?
Are you gonna be okay?
Oh my god! Oh!
And while I still liked the Netflix show, there was just something about the webisodes that felt so delightfully of its time. When I'm old and culture is completely forgotten of cable TV and cringy internet culture, I hope we all have a bigger picture of how important Adventure Time was. Jesus, and that's coming from me. I fucking hated this show. Like, alright, I didn't hate it, but I definitely only put it on when Finn and Jake weren't around to mess it all up. This isn't in the script, but I'm filming this at 1 o'clock in the morning, listening to the Adventure Time soundtrack, and a show that I didn't even really like that much has me in tears. But ever since this little stinker of a revolution, cartoons have evolved to the point where it's been the norm for a while. When Adventure Time started and Rebecca Sugar pushed forward with Steven Universe, Bee and PuppyCat was the first time I'd ever felt nostalgic for this type of cartoon. Nothing important ever happens in Bee and PuppyCat. Not really. Bee and her, I want to say dog, but it might be a cat. They do magic temp jobs for the weirdest people ever, doing the most mundane tasks. Babysit the sad fish kid. Fight this evil eye thingy. Find the cherries so Captain Olimar, whoever the fuck this is, can do weird shit with it. You know, just chill temp jobs to pass the time. The show's humor is relaxed and quiet. Its colors are pasteled and relaxing. Everything feels put into place perfectly to be a fun distraction from the fact that you haven't slept right in weeks. But out of nowhere it hits you with that ending. That goddamn ending that forced me to rewatch this 6 more times on that summer break alone. I'm sure I just missed something, and I'm sure I can put the pieces together next time. But maybe Bee was just hiding the truth from even us. There's a lot we don't know about each other. The show is such a love letter to this era and the way they told stories. What would be called filler episodes in any other generation honestly felt like a way to pace out a bigger universe that drip-fed you lore bits. Adventure Time walks so that the FNAF franchise could stumble into the theater and die.
Lunchtime comes on at 9.
But cleavage?
Okay, so maybe a lot of episodes from these shows is just characters doing funny stuff while everyone else stands around and waits for the story to continue. But I feel like there's such an art to the way these shows pace themselves. Bee and PuppyCat feels like a dream because it's paced that way. There's a clear world past their apartment, and the characters have depth where only served in slivers. But its sum is a quiet show that kept me from losing my mind all those years ago. And even though Verve was kneecapped not too long ago, the most influential thing it ever did, as weird as it sounds, will always be exposing me to Bee and PuppyCat. I watched Bee and PuppyCat because it's what I needed. I watched Bee and PuppyCat because it reminded me of an era of cartoons that's just about wrapping up at this point. I watched Bee and PuppyCat because, Christ, what was I supposed to watch on this thing? Deep Space 69? Rest in peace, Verve. You were like the friend I never wanted.